Hi, everybody. This is John Devlin. I'm the music director of the Wheeling Symphony Orchestra, and we're here. It's October 2025, and I am so excited because this month brings with us an amazing collaboration at the Wheeling Symphony Orchestra. I'm so excited to talk about that collaboration today with my guest, who's Doug Fitch. Doug, welcome. We're so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here and finally pull this thing into its own actual fruition. It's going to happen.
I've been thinking a lot about our history together in preparation for this talk. And we met
It's a
in
good one. Yeah.
2008 at the
Yeah.
University of Maryland, where you were not collaborating with me as a conductor. You want to tell everybody what I was doing?
Well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this was your very first day as a grad student in
Yes.
conducting. And rather than having handed over a baton to you to conduct the symphony, I think our dear mutual friend Jim Ross handed you a video camera, which it was at my behest, that you were instructed to put on your shoulder and start shooting imagery of the orchestra because that was what you were going to be doing for the up and coming production of Petrushka that we were inventing at the time.
That's right. Because normally when you enter grad school, you get handed a seat in row H and you're told to cover conduct the first concert that your teacher's working on, and you're ready to back up conducting the music. But with Jim Ross and with Doug Fitch, I got an entirely different education, and it was all about how do we make concerts that tell the story of the music in the best possible way? How do we engage the audience in ways that will feel delightful and unexpected? And I think that that is the ethos around which we built this project almost 20 years later together in collaboration with our dear friends up at the Omaha Symphony, who are co-commissioners of the project as well. So, Doug, we are going to be setting the four C interludes and the Passacaglia from Benjamin Britten's amazing opera called Peter Grimes. And do you want to start by telling us a little bit about why did this piece call to you specifically for a setting, and what's your vision for what everyone will experience in the Capitol Theater in a couple of weeks?
Sure. I just want to preface that by saying, actually, this is the first piece that brought me into the world of concert theater.
Wow.
Also with Jim Ross way back in Maryland, too. A lot of things go back to Jim, and that kind of free-spirited invitation to do precisely what you were saying. The piece itself is actually five different interludes, and they're called interludes because they were composed specifically for the while the scenery was changing behind a curtain during the opera, so that when it opened again, you were ready. The mood had been shifted and changed, and you were ready for the next scene to occur.
Hmm.
And so they are written to be incredibly evocative from a kind of a climate perspective, but also a scenographic perspective. They're very moody. They're haunting melodies. It's about it takes place in northern England on the ocean. A very gloomy kind of place, and it's a dark, sad story. But it's so beautiful too. I mean, you have this, you can hear the moonlight on the ocean
Hmm.
and the phosphorus algae kind of washing its way around the splashing against the rocks. And you can hear a storm. You can hear the beauty of and excitement of a opening on a Sunday morning when the sun breaks through. There's all these things that are just so visually evocative through this music. So that's why I get excited about it.
Yeah, and the way that you have now used your mind as a prism to expand the ideas that Britain has composed into the music involves lighting. It involves theatrical scenery inside the hall. It involves wind. It involves choreography. How did the shape of all of these extra musical elements come to form in your mind to be the right way to tell the story?
Well, I will say that there's a tendency these days to want or lean on things like technology, like a large video screen to tell a story when it is visualizable, or and that it seemed like, well, what do we do if we don't use a video? what is a video? A video is just light anyway. It's a special kind of light which has incredible capabilities, but certainly for storytelling, obviously. But what happens if we just abstract it and deconstruct that that video uh, uh, um, illustrative quality and make it more balanced with the idea of abstractness of music? So that's why we went and decided to just do it with very non-digital means, and it's all analog. So people are doing everything, and so we have, and also we have at our access in Wheeling a group of young people who are in the dance world, and they're moving around and helping us. And since they were available and interested to participate, I've given over to the Cheryl Pompeo, choreographer, the means to kind of
Hmm.
uh, help with this scene building, and the people will be holding reflective devices, and there's not really a lot of scenography objects. It's just like we have some shadow puppets and some mirror puppets that reflect imagery all over the place, and lighting, lots and lots and lots of different kinds of lighting that'll um, and some banners that will take the light in special ways, some translucent silvery kind of banners that are designed to hold light especially. So we're using those kinds of elements in a way. I've never actually seen this done before, so it was a big experiment, and I'm so grateful that you guys decided to do it and try it out, and so did Omaha. So
Yeah, well, we are grateful to be able to collaborate with you. We speaking of Omaha, we were all together a year ago when the project debuted in their
wow,
concert
it
hall.
was a year
But
ago.
what something people might not know is that there's a big difference between the type of concert hall that we have in Wheeling, which is called a proscenium hall, where there is basically a place where you would expect in one of those old-time concert halls, which it is, where a curtain drops and there's a distinct edge to the side of the stage that faces the audience that we have to work within. Whereas in Omaha, it's a much more open, modern hall without any of that geography being blocked by physical walls. So tell us a little bit about what had to happen between the Omaha version and about the Wheeling version to amend to the space reality that we have in Wheeling at the Capitol Theater.
Well, we're still working on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine a project that was designed to fit in two more completely different spaces. Um, so the in Omaha, I think the height of the ceiling was something like 60 feet, just 60 open feet with a sound clouds hovering way above the heads of everyone, and it's a hugely wide open space. In Wheeling, we have a kind of like a, well, it's called a shell. It's kind of like a shoebox that the orchestra sits inside of, and we're trying to break that open a little bit, and so we can have these sound clouds that are floating, and the banners will come through them. Everything in Omaha was, if you didn't put light on it, you wouldn't necessarily see it. But in Wheeling, everything is sort of white. So if you put a little bit of light over here, it's going to go everywhere. So it's a completely different kind of space. But we also have in front of the proscenium something we did not have
Right.
in Omaha, which was a whole orchestra pit designed for kind of an opera or an orchestra to sit in and accompany an orchestra, a cinema or something like that, I suppose. Um, and we are putting dancers and people down there, and reflective devices and other lighting equipment and so forth. So we get to use all of that. So it's all the same music, and it's
Right.
the same kind of basic concept, but it's going to be completely original to Wheeling.
And you mentioned our collaboration with Cheryl and with the fabulous dancers in the Ogilvy Institute, who's a dear partner, collaborator with the Wheeling Symphony in many different ways. And they're a big presence in our town for arts education and performance. And so we're grateful to you for having found us such a creative way to collaborate with them. And I think they're thrilled to be joining us in just a couple of weeks' time. So the last question I want to ask you, Doug, is let's say I'm an audience member that is coming to the concert and is unfamiliar with Britten's Forsey interludes and is going to walk in with an open mind and they're going to see the concert hall designed in this way they've never seen before. What kind of mental space would you like them to be in as they start to see the project unfold? And what are you hoping people will take away in an additive way from what you and I are bringing through this collaboration?
Well, that's a wonderful question, and I think really, as with every time one goes to see live arts, you just have to go with as few expectations as you can. I think because that allows the whatever the work is to really unfold in your own imagination, unfettered by what people told you they had experienced when they saw it last, or what you can listen to the music before you come because it's worth listening to.
Yes.
So you get it in your head, so what it sounds like. Um, that would be a wonderful thing to do, I think, for everyone. However, I always like to think like we had when we took this on a lot of ideas, and we came up with this, and you're going to see what it is that we did with it. But when you watch it, you'll have your own imagination will be doing something entirely different, and that is the story. Whatever story you're making up in your head is the correct one here. It's not the story of Peter Grimes. It's not the story of an opera that was written. It's now this something else. It's just we've taken it into a new direction, and I think that is, I'm hoping that'll just leave people with a different kind of feeling what a concert can be.
Yes, and I can't wait for people to see what you've invented here.
And here,
Uh, Opening night, we have an entire program laid out for people that we think
it's
they're
an
going to love.
amazing program, John. It's
So
an
we'll open
amazing
with
program.
thank you so much, Doug. And I'll give people just a little sneak peek of what that's going to be. We'll open with a piece by Eric Nathan, who has been with us in Wheeling before. Right when we came out of COVID, we played his double concerto to great acclaim, and the audiences loved it. So we're so happy to be presenting his music. The opening piece is called Opening because 2 years ago, the Milwaukee Symphony commissioned Eric to write a piece to open their new concert hall. And this was the first music ever performed inside their grand new home there. We're going to take advantage of what's happening in the first half. We're doing things that are immersive, and the orchestra is positioned half of it out in the concert hall, so people will feel very close to our musicians. And then the next piece will be this incredible project that we've developed with you, Doug. And then after intermission, we have our horn quartet led by acting principal horn Jason Allison performing a piece that will feature the French horns down at the front of the stage in the soloist position called Concertstück by Robert Schumann. That is a really great feature piece for that quartet. And then we'll end with a piece that's iconic for this part of the country and iconic because of who wrote it, Aaron Copland's Appalachian Spring, written about a farm in Virginia just about 100 miles down the road. And that is the capstone piece to this concert that opens a season, which is called Where I Belong, because we want people to think of this place in Appalachia, in Wheeling, West Virginia, as a place where the Capitol Theater is a home that they belong, and that people can come together and gather, experience new things, and fall in love with classical music and new projects like the one we're going to deliver here. So, Doug, we can't wait to have you back in Wheeling. I know you've already visited a few times and kind of fallen in love with the city a little bit
Great
through those
place.
visits. Yeah, and it's felt like we first met about this project almost 4 years ago, and we
I can't
cannot
believe
wait
it.
now to have it come to life.
That's
Thank you
right.
so much, Doug.
My pleasure. Looking forward.
Can't wait to see you here.